Wow, okay, so I've decided to record this on one of the hottest days of the year so far, where I look like a right red, sweaty mess. Good job, James. Look, lads, I don't want to make these kind of videos. I want to spread lots and lots of lovely Doctor Who positivity, but I have seen things, and I continue to see things in Doctor Who fandom, and I think it's something important to talk about. The David Tennant hate is weird and forced, and there are just a lot of things that I find quite dull about it. David Tennant, if you didn't know, I don't know why you're clicking on this video if you don't know, but David Tennant was the 10th and 14th Doctor, which is quite relevant on this Doctor Who channel, but also he's just, you know, an amazing, brilliant actor who's given the world lots of genius performances in not just Doctor Who, but shows like Good Omens, Jessica Jones, Broadchurch, just recently Rivals was fantastic. David Tennant is for me a fantastic actor. And I think in this video I should explain my viewpoint. I love David Tennant. I love David Tennant's performances. I'm a massive fan of David Tennant. To a certain extent, I am an aspiring actor, you know. Part of the reason why I probably got into acting was Doctor Who, and probably more specifically David Tennant. It's a thing that actors probably shouldn't admit, but, you know, to be completely honest with you, it's one of the first things that made me fall in love with the idea of acting, was one day I could maybe, and it won't happen, but one day I could maybe go into the footsteps of David Tennant, you know the phrase I'm banging on about. And I think that context is important when looking at this video, hence why I'm more than happy if people completely disagree with my viewpoint, and I'm more than happy to hear you in the comments below. But David Tennant gets quite a lot of hate online from Doctor Who fans. Now, unfortunately, there's one rather dull thing I have to address. I 100% promise you, I am not talking about, you know, people who hate him for transphobic reasons or pro-JK reasons, or the people who just think he's a lefty. Like, I obviously... people like that and people like me just have nothing to chat about. We just fundamentally disagree on that kind of thing, and, you know, nothing apart from a good clang on the head with a saucepan will change that. But I think there is a general disrespect that David Tennant gets in the fandom that I don't think is fair whatsoever. And I know what the comments might end up saying is that, you know, I'm just salty because people, you know, don't particularly like David's Doctor compared to other Doctors. First of all, how can you not like David's Doctor, you weirdo? I'm only joking. You are more than welcome to have your favourite Doctors, and if David Tennant isn't one of them, good. You have a mind of your own, you have an opinion. This, trust me, is not about pitting certain Doctors against each other. But one of the many things, I have a couple of problems that I want to address, but one of the problems that I think is there is an anti-popularism movement going on in Doctor Who at the moment. And on the other hand, you've got David, who is, let's be honest, especially in the eyes of the mainstream media, one of the, like he is the classic popular Doctor, along with, like, Tom Baker. Like Tom Baker is the classic era Doctor. David Tennant is the modern era Doctor. He is what the mainstream fan thinks when they say Doctor Who. And some fans, I find, tend to judge David's incarnation against... They judge David's popularity against his incarnation. But that to me is like, it's like, you know, if you're talking overrated Doctors, underrated Doctors, like, if your opinion is, you know, David is one of the weaker Doctors, and you were to turn around and go, I think David Tennant is massively overrated, you know, I can 100% see your point of view, because, yes, amongst general fans, David Tennant is very highly rated. So when you call David Tennant overrated because you think that he is too highly rated, that makes sense. But recently, it has been a bit of a trend to go, right, what's your least favourite Doctor? What's your least favourite Doctor out of these four? And a lot of the time, I remember that there was a really popular one going around recently, which I think was 9, 10, 11, 12, get rid of a Doctor. And everyone, instead of using it to have a vaguely interesting conversation, the topic very quickly meandered onto, well, it's obviously David Tennant, or he's so popular, get rid of him in a heartbeat. I think it's one of the downsides where you have a show that moves and changes through so many different eras, where the show changes so much that each different era of the show almost feels like a different show. So therefore, I imagine it's frustrating to some fans when their era of the show they really, really love doesn't get the love and respect that some others do. Like, if I really, really loved the Chibnall era, I would be a pretty... I know my personality. I would be a pretty insufferable fan, because I wouldn't stop banging on about how underrated the Chibnall era is. That's probably, let's be honest, that's kind of what this channel is and what I do with RTD2. A lot of my videos are me banging on about how underrated I think RTD2 is and how disrespected the era is. Again, I understand this isn't that deep, and I just thought it was an interesting topic of conversation, because you almost need a thumbnail and a title to get people drawn in, but I think it's an important debate to have of the idea of anti-popularism. It was always the idea that, if you picked a Tom Baker or a David Tennant as your favourite Doctor, you're a bit basic. And lads, honestly, my vote is freedom of opinion. If your Doctor happens to be the most technically popular Doctor, there's a good reason why he's also, or she, in the case of Jodie Whittaker especially, great answer, Jodie Whittaker's a fantastic Doctor. There is a reason why that Doctor is your favourite, because it's a lot of other people's favourites too. That's why it's so popular. So not only do I think sometimes it discourages us from honest conversations when people are scared to, say what their genuine favourite is, even if it is the dull answer, I don't think people should be persecuted for that, and I also don't think that's an active reason to go, yeah, he's definitely the worst because he's too popular. I want mine to be popular instead. It's just boring. Again, this is also the big thing. A lot of people are annoyed with David Tennant's Doctor because of what some people have called he is very overused in extended material. Let's be honest, for a long time, he was, in a lot of the video games. He was the next comic release. He was on all the books. He was, and then brought back as the 14th Doctor. Now, bear in mind, obviously, I'm not sure what deal David has with the BBC. I presume there might, well, maybe not, I don't know. Maybe there's some financial gain through image rights. You'd guess there has to be something. So yes, David technically stands to gain from those media appearances, but it isn't David controlling that. You've got to remember, when pieces of media are being made, they're being made for business purposes. And if you are making pieces of expanded media that aren't currently following the current Doctor, you want that to do well, and you want that to stand the most chance of making money. And yes, it annoys some fans, and personally, yes, I would like a little bit more diversity in the decision making, but you have to understand why, from a business perspective, they pick David, who in modern audiences' eyes is the most popular Doctor and the most likely to drag audiences in, and therefore money. It's a business venture at the end of the day. I genuinely think that's part of it. As and when, like, for example, Jodie Whittaker is now currently doing a massive Big Finish run. If you want to see more Jodie Whittaker, if you want Jodie Whittaker to keep coming back to the franchise and being involved in extended media, don't illegally stream the Big Finish stuff. Buy it, stream it, support it. You moaning on Twitter isn't enough. And for example, if ever, there is a Jodie Whittaker book, or a Shooty book, or a Matt Smith book, or a Peter Capaldi book, or a Christopher Eccleston book, if there are Doctors that you want to see more extended media from, you have to support the extended media that comes out of it, because I bet there's another big reason that David gets a lot of extended media, and David's Doctor, not David Tennant himself, but David's Doctor gets a lot of extended media, is because fans of the 10th Doctor really support those runs, because they want to see more of it. The other thing that David gets criticised for, and I know I've alluded to this before, but I think it's worth tying up in this video, people get annoyed that David is the modern Doctor who's come back. Yes, Jodie Whittaker has had a cameo recently, and it's brilliant that Jodie's willing to come back. And it's brilliant that Matt has said multiple times that he's willing to come back. But David, a previous Doctor, is willing to come back to the show to celebrate anniversary specials. as Doctor Who fans, we don't, you know, in the 80s, I mean, maybe they did, and because I wasn't born, but they didn't go to Patrick Troughton and gone, geez, Patrick, you've done the 3 Doctors, you've done the 5 Doctors, now you're back for the 2 Doctors. Come on, mate, stop coming back. Let Tom Baker come back. Let John Pertwee come back. They didn't do that. Instead, as far as I know, everyone loves Patrick Troughton because he continued to show his respect for the show and continued to love it and support it and come back. And yes, I understand that Jodie was, you know, pregnant during the 60th and stuff and maybe wanted to come back, and I understand that Matt would love to come back, and people and me are slightly annoyed that Matt hasn't been given the opportunity to come back, seeing as he wants to come back so bad. But as I tie this video up really, really beautifully, even though I waffled a bit in the middle, I'm sorry about that, but thanks for dealing with that. Guys, stop hating on David Tennant. He's a great man, doing good stuff for Doctor Who, and also, let's be honest, doing beautiful stuff for the wider, marginalised communities. And that's what we bloody need right now. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe. You're all bloody legends. Comment any videos you are desperate to see from me, the Nerdy Brit, and comment your David Tennant related thoughts. Where was I valid? Where was I waffling? Where am I just chatting out of my... Now I really am red hot and sweating.